If you have the book, we are on page 24 and second paragraph. Namo Fundamental Teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo Fundamental Teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo Fundamental Teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. The unsurpassed, profound and wonderful Dharma is difficult to encounter in hundreds of millions of eons. I now see and hear it, receive and uphold it, and I vow to fathom the Tathagata's true meaning. Flower Dharma Sutra, Transcending the World, Chapter 38, Part 1. Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, has 10 kinds of discerning wisdom. What are the 10? They are the discerning wisdom of knowing beings, the discerning wisdom of knowing the faculties of beings, the discerning wisdom of knowing the retribution of karma, the discerning wisdom of undergoing rebirth, the discerning wisdom of knowing worlds, the discerning wisdom of knowing Dharma realms, the discerning wisdom of knowing Buddhas, the discerning wisdom of knowing phenomena, the discerning wisdom of knowing the 3 periods of time, the discerning wisdom of knowing the path, or linguistic and speech. These are the 10. If every bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these dharmas, he would attain the Tathagata's unsurpassed, great discriminating wisdom.
Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva Mahasattva has 10 kinds of dharanis. What are the 10? They are the dharani of hearing and upholding, for he upholds all dharmas and never forgets them. The dharani of cultivation, for he skillfully contemplates all dharmas according to reality. The dharani of reflection, for he understands the nature of all dharmas. The dharani of illuminating dharmas, for he illumines the inconceivable Buddha dharmas. The dharani of samadhi, for he fully listens without distraction to proper dharma in the present time in all Buddha's places. The dharani of perfect sounds, for he clearly understands all inconceivable sounds and languages. The dharani of the 3 periods of time, for he expounds the inconceivable Buddha Dharma of the 3 periods of time. The dharani of various kinds of eloquence, for he expounds boundless Buddha Dharmas. The dharani of having unobstructed ears, for he is able to hear the Dharma spoken by ineffable Buddhas. The dharani of the Buddha's teachings, for he securely abides in the Tathagata's powers and fearlessnesses. These are the 10. If every bodhisattva wishes to attain these dharmas, he should diligently study and cultivate.
Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva Mahasattva, speaks of 10 kinds of Buddhas. What are the 10? They are the Buddha who attains proper awakening, the Buddha of vows, the Buddha of karmic rewards, the Buddha of dwelling and maintaining, the Buddha of nirvana, the Buddha of the Dharma realm, the Buddha of the mind, the Buddha of samadhi, the Buddha of the intrinsic nature, the Buddha of delighting everyone accordingly. These are the 10.
Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva Mahasattva makes 10 kinds of resolves like those of universal worthy. What are the 10? They are making a resolve to practice great kindness to save and protect all beings, making a resolve to practice great compassion to shoulder the sufferings of all beings, making a resolve to practice total giving, relinquishing his every possession, making a resolve to take all wisdom as foremost, because he joyfully seeks all Buddha Dharmas, making a resolve to become dignified with meritorious virtue, because he studies all Bodhisattva's practices, making a resolve like Vajra, so he never forgets it no matter where he is born, making a resolve like the ocean, in the same way that all that is pure flows into the ocean, making a resolve like the king of great mountains, because he endures vicious words, making a resolve that is secure and peaceful, because he gives fearlessness to all, making a resolve for ultimate prajna paramita, because he skillfully contemplates the dharmas that have no existence. These are the 10. If everybody Bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these resolves, he would quickly achieve universal worthy's wisdom of expedience.
Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva Mahasattva, cultivates 10 kinds of universal worthy's conduct. What are the 10? They are universal worthy's conduct of vowing to live through all future kalpas, universal worthy's conduct of vowing to respect and make offering to all Buddhas in the future, universal worthy's conduct of vowing to successfully lead all beings to cultivate universal worthy's bodhisattva's conduct, universal worthy's conduct of vowing to accumulate roots of goodness, universal worthy's conduct of vowing to enter all paramitas, universal worthy's conduct of vowing to perfectly fulfill the conduct of all bodhisattvas, universal worthy's conduct of vowing to adorn all worlds, universal worthy's conduct of vowing to be born in all Buddha lands, universal worthy's conduct of vowing to skillfully contemplate all phenomena, universal worthy's conduct of vowing to accomplish unsurpassed Bodhi in all Buddha lands. These are the 10. If every bodhisattva were to diligently cultivate these dharmas, he would soon perfect universal worthy's conduct and vows.
Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva Mahasattva brings forth great compassion through 10 ways of contemplating being. What are the 10? They are contemplating that beings have no reliance and no protection, so he brings forth great compassion. Contemplating that beings' natures are untamed, so he brings forth great compassion. Contemplating that beings are deficient in roots of goodness, so he brings forth great compassion. Contemplating that beings are asleep as if in the long night, so he brings forth great compassion. Contemplating that beings are involved in unwholesome practices, so he brings forth great compassion. Contemplating that beings are tied up by the fetters of desires, so he brings forth great compassion. Contemplating that beings are sunk in the sea of rebirth, so he brings forth great compassion. By contemplating that beings chronically undergo illness and suffering, so he brings forth great compassion. Contemplating that beings have no appetite for wholesome dharmas, so he brings forth great compassion. Contemplating that beings have lost sight of Buddha dharmas, so he brings forth great compassion. Those are the 10. Every bodhisattva constantly contemplates being with these thoughts in mind.
Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva, Mahasattva has 10 kinds of causes and conditions for making the resolve for Bodhi. What are the 10? They are: in order to teach and transform beings, he makes a resolve for Bodhi. In order to eliminate the accumulated sufferings of all beings, he makes a resolve for Bodhi. In order to bring ultimate peace and happiness to all beings, he makes a resolve for Bodhi. In order to sever all beings' delusions, he makes the resolve for Bodhi. In order to bestow the Buddha's wisdom on all beings, he makes the resolve for Bodhi. In order to respect and make offerings to the Buddha, he makes the resolve for Bodhi. In order to follow the teachings of the Tathagata and please the Buddha, he makes a resolve for Bodhi. In order to behold the unique, superior features of the Buddhas, he makes a resolve for Bodhi. In order to enter into the Buddha's vast wisdom, he makes a resolve for Bodhi. In order to reveal the Buddha's powers and fearlessnesses, he makes a resolve for Bodhi. These are the 10.
Disciples of the Buddha, when a Bodhisattva serves good spiritual advisors, if he makes the resolve for the unsurpassed Bodhi in order to awaken to the wisdom of all wisdom, he should make 10 kinds of resolves. What are the 10? They are the resolve to give and serve, the resolve to be joyful, the resolve to be obedient, the resolve to be compliant, the resolve to strive to be one with all, the resolve to be concentrated, the resolve to attain the same roots of goodness, the resolve to make the same vows, the resolve to be like the Tathagata, the resolve to perfect the same practices together. These are the 10.
Disciples of the Buddha, if a Bodhisattva Mahasattva were to make such resolve, he would attain 10 kinds of purity. What are the 10? They are: the purity of a profound mind, because he fulfills the ultimate state of indestructibility; the purity of the Buddha, because he acts in accord with proper conditions; the purity of the voice, because he understands all languages and speech; the purity of eloquence, because he is skilled in speaking the Buddha Dharma without bounds; the purity of wisdom, because he has relinquished the darkness of delusion; the purity of birth, because he fully possesses a Bodhisattva's power, self-mastery; the purity of followers, because he has perfected the same roots of goodness as his fellow cultivators of the past; the purity of fruitions, because he has removed all karmic hindrances; the purity of great vows, because he has the same non-dual nature as all other bodhisattvas; the purity of practices, because he has transcended by means of universal worthy vehicle. These are the 10.
Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva Mahasattva practices 10 kinds of paramitas. What are the 10? They are the paramita of giving, because he can give everything he possesses; the paramita of observing the precepts, because he cultivates the pure precepts of the Buddha; the paramita of patience, because he practices patience like the Buddha; the paramita of vigor, because he never regresses in any of his undertakings; the paramita of concentration, because he concentrates single-mindedly; the paramita of wisdom, because he contemplates all phenomena as they really are; the paramita of knowledge, because he has entered into the Buddha's powers; the paramitas of vows, because he has perfected the great vows of universal worthy; the paramita of spiritual powers, because he has manifested the full functioning of self-mastery; the paramita of Dharma, because he universally enters into all Buddha Dharmas. These are the 10. If every bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these dharmas, he would fully attain the paramitas of the Tathagata's unsurpassed and great wisdom.
Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva Mahasattva has 10 kinds of wisdom that align with awakening. What are the 10? They are: the wisdom aligned with the awakening that all worlds are infinitely differentiated; the wisdom aligned with the awakening that the realms of beings are inconceivable; The wisdom aligned with the awakening that one enters into manifold dharmas, and that manifold dharmas enter into one. The wisdom aligned with the awakening that all dharma realms are expansive and great. The wisdom aligned with the awakening that all realms of space are ultimate. The wisdom aligned with the awakening that all worlds enter into past worlds. The wisdom aligned with the awakening that all worlds enter into future worlds. The wisdom aligned with the awakening that all worlds enter into present worlds. The wisdom aligned with the awakening that all Tathagata's infinite practices and vows come to perfection through a single type of wisdom. The wisdom aligned with awakening that all Buddhas of the three periods of time attain transcendence through one and the same type of practice. These are the 10. If every bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these dharmas, he would attain the brightness of self-mastery of all dharmas, and his vows would be perfected. Within one thought, he would understand the entirety of Buddha Dharma and attain equal and proper awakening.
Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, has 10 kinds of certified knowledge. What are the 10? They are the knowledge that all dharmas are of one characteristic, the knowledge that all dharmas are of infinite characteristics, the knowledge that all dharmas are of one thought, the knowledge that all beings' mental activities are unimpeded, the knowledge that the faculties of all beings are equal, the knowledge of all afflictions and habitual activities of beings, the knowledge of all beings' tendencies and fetters, the knowledge of all beings' wholesome and unwholesome activities and unwholesome actions, the knowledge of all bodhisattvas' vows, practices, and self-masteries, and how they uphold the teaching and how they regulate beings, the knowledge that all Tathagatas have perfected the 10 powers and attained equal and proper awakening.
These are the 10. If every bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these dharmas, he would attain expedient means in all things. Disciples of the Buddha, a bodhisattva Mahasattva has 10 kinds of powers. What are the 10? They are the power of entering into the self-nature of all dharmas. The power of entering into all dharmas is transformations. The power of entering into all dharmas is illusions. The power of entering into all dharmas is Buddha dharmas. The power of being free from the defilement of dharmas. The power of understanding all dharmas perfectly. The power of resolving to always respect good spiritual advisors. The power of having roots of goodness that successfully aid in attaining unsurpassed majestic wisdom. The power of having deep faith in all Buddha dharmas and never slandering them. The power of good skills, never retreating from the resolve for the Buddha's wisdom. These are the 10. If every bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these dharmas, he would attain the unsurpassed powers of the Tathagata.
Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva Mahasattva fathoms 10 kinds of equality. What are the 10? They are the quality of all beings, the equality of all dharmas, the equality of all lands, the equality of all profound minds, the equality of all roots of goodness, the equality of all bodhisattvas, the equality of all vows, the equality of all paramitas, the equality of all practices, the equality of all Buddhas. These are the 10. If every bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these dharmas, he would attain the unsurpassed dharma doors of equality of all Buddhas.
Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva Mahasattva expresses the true meaning of the Buddha Dharma in 10 ways. What are the 10? They are as follows. All dharmas are made of superior names. All dharmas are like illusions. All dharmas are like shadows. All dharmas arise simply from conditions. All dharmas are pure in karma. All dharmas are composed simply of expressions and words. All Dharma represent reality. All Dharmas are devoid of characteristics. All Dharma have their ultimate meaning. All Dharmas have their own Dharma realm. These are the 10. If every Bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these Dharmas, he would be skilled at entering the supreme true meaning of the wisdom of all wisdom.
Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, speaks 10 kinds of Dharma. What are the 10? They are speaking the exceedingly profound Dharma, speaking the extensive Dharma, speaking all kinds of Dharma, speaking the Dharma of all wisdom, speaking Dharma that accords with paramitas, speaking Dharma that helps bring out the powers of a Tathagata, speaking Dharma that agrees with the 3 periods of time, speaking Dharma that enables the Bodhisattva to never retreat, speaking Dharma that celebrates the Buddha's meritorious virtues, speaking Dharma through which Bodhisattvas learn the equality of all Buddhas and the interoperative nature of the Tathagata state. These are the 10. If every Bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these Dharmas, he would attain the Tathagata's unsurpassed skillful speaking of Dharma.
Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva Mahasattva has 10 ways of sustaining. What are the 10? They are sustaining the roots of goodness from accumulated blessings and virtue, sustaining the Dharma spoken by all Tathagatas, sustaining all parables, sustaining the portal of the true principles of Dharma, sustaining the portal of the birth of all Dharanis, sustaining the practices of removing doubts and delusion, sustaining the practices that lead to the accomplishment of all bodhisattvas, sustaining the equality of samadhi doors spoken by all Tathagatas, sustaining the portals or illuminating all dharmas, sustaining the Buddha's supremacy of playful roaming in spiritual powers. These are the 10. If every bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these dharmas, he would attain the Tathagata's unsurpassed, sustaining power of great wisdom.
Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva Mahasattva has 10 kinds of eloquence. What are the 10? They are the eloquence of non-differentiation in regard to all dharmas, the eloquence of non-action in regard to all dharmas, the eloquence of non-attachment in regard to all dharmas, the eloquence of thoroughly understanding emptiness in regard to all dharmas, the eloquence of not having any doubt or confusion in regard to all dharmas, the eloquence of receiving the Buddha's support in regard to all dharmas, the eloquence of self-awakening in regard to all dharmas, the eloquence of skillfully differentiating words and expressions in regard to all dharmas, the eloquence of speaking the true in regard to all dharmas, the eloquence of according with all beings' minds, making them happy and joyful. These are the 10. If every bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these dharmas, he would attain the Tathagata's unsurpassed, skillful, and wonderful eloquence.
Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva Mahasattva has 10 kinds of self-mastery. What are the 10? They are the self-mastery of teaching, transforming, guiding, and disciplining beings, the self-mastery of universally illuminating all dharmas, the self-mastery of cultivating the roots of goodness, the self-mastery of extensive and great wisdom, the self-mastery of according with the precepts, yet without clinging to anything, the self-mastery of dedicating all roots of goodness to Bodhi, the self-mastery of making progress vigorously and never retreating, the self-mastery of wisdom that crushes demons, the self-mastery of enabling beings to make the Bodhi resolve according to their inclinations, the self-mastery of manifesting the attainment of proper awakening according to those who should be transformed. These are the 10. If every bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these dharmas, he would attain the self-mastery of the Tathagatas unsurpassed, great wisdom.
Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, has 10 kinds of non-attachment. What are the 10? They are non-attachment to worlds, non-attachment to beings, non-attachment to phenomena, non-attachment to actions, non-attachment to roots of goodness, non-attachment to birthplaces, non-attachment to vows, non-attachment to practices, non-attachment to bodhisattvas, non-attachment to Buddhas. These are the 10. If every bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these dharmas, he would quickly transform myriad thoughts and attain unsurpassed pure wisdom.
Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva, Mahasattva has 10 kinds of impartial minds. What are the 10? They are the impartial mind in accumulating meritorious virtue, the impartial mind in making different vows, the impartial mind in regard to all beings' bodies, the impartial mind in regard to all beings' karmic retributions, the impartial mind in regard to all dharmas, the impartial mind in regard to pure and defiled lands, the impartial mind in regard to being understanding, the impartial mind in regard to practices without discrimination, the impartial mind in regard to the Buddha's powers and fearlessnesses, the impartial mind in regard to the Tathagata's wisdom. These are the 10. If every bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these, he would attain the Tathagata's unsurpassed great impartial mind.
Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, has 10 ways of developing wisdom. What are the 10? They are developing wisdom by knowing all beings' understandings, developing wisdom by knowing the various differences of all Buddha lands, developing wisdom by knowing the differences and extents of all the nets in the 10 directions, developing wisdom by knowing about facing down worlds, facing up worlds, and all other worlds, developing wisdom by knowing the one nature, the different natures, and the excessive nature of all things, developing wisdom by knowing all the different kinds of bodies, developing wisdom by knowing that the inverted thoughts of the world are nothing to which to be attached, developing wisdom by knowing that dharmas ultimately return to one single path that leads to transcendence, developing wisdom by knowing that the Tathagata's spiritual power can penetrate all dharma realms, developing wisdom by knowing that the seed of Buddhahood in all beings in the 3 periods of time is never lost. These are the 10. If every bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these dharmas, he would thoroughly understand all dharmas.
Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva, Mahasattva carries out 10 kinds of transforming. What are the 10? They are transforming a living being, transforming all their body, transforming a land, transforming all offerings, transforming all voices, transforming all practices and vows, transforming all the kinds of teaching of being, transforming all of the attainments of proper awakening, transforming of the book and dharma, transforming all aided empowerments. These are the 10. If every bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these dharmas, he would fully possess all the unsurpassed dharmas of transformation. Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva, Mahasattva is supported by 10 kinds of power. What are the 10? He is supported by the power of the Buddha, supported by the power of Dharma, supported by the power of being, supported by the power of karma, supported by the power of practices, supported by the power of vows, supported by the power of state, supported by the power of time, supported by the power of goodness, supported by the power of wisdom. These are the 10. If every bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these dharmas, he would be supported by the unsurpassed sovereign power with regard to all dharmas. End of Transcending the World, Chapter 38, Part 1. Transcending the World, Chapter 38, Part 2. Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva, Mahasattva feels great joy and reassurance in 10 ways. What are the 10? They are as follows. The Bodhisattva makes such a resolve. When every Buddha appears in the world throughout the future, I shall follow and serve him, making him elated. Contemplating in this way, he feels great joy and reassurance. Furthermore, he has this thought: when these Buddhas, Tathagatas appear in the world, I shall respectfully make offerings of unsurpassed quality to them. Contemplating in this way, he feels great joy and reassurance.
Furthermore, he has this thought: when I make offerings to the Tathagatas, they will certainly teach me Dharma. I shall listen to and accept the teachings with profound reverence and cultivate according to what they say, so that I shall have been born in the past, will be born in the present, and will become born in the future on the ground of a bodhisattva. Contemplating in this way, he feels great joy and reassurance. Furthermore, he has this thought: throughout ineffable kalpas, I shall constantly cultivate the bodhisattva conduct together with the Buddhas and bodhisattvas. Contemplating in this way, he feels great joy and reassurance. Furthermore, he has this thought: in the past, because I did not make a great resolve for unsurpassed bodhi, I had all kinds of fears such as the fear of not being able to survive, the fear of having a bad reputation, the fear of dying, the fear of falling into a lowly destiny, and the fear of facing the awesome virtue of the great assembly. Once I made my resolve, all these fears left me. I no longer became alarmed or afraid, dreadful or frightened, intimidated or terrified. Not one among the multitudes of demons and heretics could ruin me. Contemplating in this way, he feels great joy and reassurance.
Furthermore, he has this thought: I shall cause all beings to attain unsurpassed bodhi. Once they have attained bodhi, I shall, to the end of my life, cultivate the practice of bodhisattvas at the places of the Buddhas. With great faith, I shall offer all things to the Buddhas that should be offered to them. After the Nirvana, I shall build uncountably many stupas to house their shariras and receive, uphold, and protect the Dharma that they have bequeathed. Contemplating in this way, he feels great joy and reassurance. Furthermore, he has this thought: I shall adorn all the worlds in the 10 directions with unsurpassed ornamentation that comes complete with every kind of extraordinary beauty that is equal to each other. In addition, I shall use various kinds of outstanding spiritual powers to sustain and cause the worlds to quake so that every place is brightened by lights. Contemplating in this way, he feels great joy and reassurance. Furthermore, he has this thought: I shall end all beings' doubts and delusions, purify the minds of all beings who have desire for pleasure, unlock all beings' hearts, quell all beings' afflictions, close all beings' doorways to lowly destinies, and open all beings' doorways to good destinies. Shatter all beings' darkness and provide them with light. Cause all beings to abandon the varieties of demonic influences and enable all beings to reach the place of peace and tranquility. Contemplating in this way, he feels great joy and reassurance.
Furthermore, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva has this thought: all Buddhas, Tathagatas, are like Udumbara flowers. It is difficult to encounter or see them even once in limitless kalpas. I should throughout future time be able to see the Tathagatas whenever I wish. The Buddhas, Tathagatas will never abandon me, but will always dwell wherever I am so I can see them. They will always speak Dharma for me without stop. After I hear the Dharma, my thoughts will be pure and free from flattery, becoming straightforward and godless instead. In thought after thought, I shall see the Buddhas at times. Contemplating in this way, he feels great joy and reassurance.
Furthermore, he has this thought: in the future I shall become a Buddha with the spiritual powers of Buddha. I shall appear individually for all beings in the world, manifesting for them the realization of equal and proper awakening, and the pure and fearless roar of a great lion. I shall extend my original great vows to all places in the Dharma realm. I shall beat the great drum of Dharma, shower down the rain of Dharma, and generously proclaim the Dharma. Throughout infinite kalpas, I shall constantly explain the proper Dharma. Sustained by great compassion, I shall never grow tired of doing these deeds with my body, mouth, and mind. Contemplating in this way, he feels great joy and reassurance. Disciples of the Buddha, these are the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, 10 kinds of great joy and reassurance. If every Bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these dhammas, he would be extremely joyful and reassured as a result of accomplishing the wisdom of proper awakening.
Disciples of the Buddhas, a Bodhisattva Mahasattva has 10 ways of profoundly entering into the Buddha Dharma. What are the 10? They are entering into all worlds in the past, entering into all worlds in the future, entering into as many worlds as currently existing ones, as well as into the many practices, speeches, and purities of these worlds, immersing themselves in the various nature of all worlds, immersing themselves in the various karmic retribution of all beings, immersing themselves in the various practices of the Bodhisattva, understanding the sequential appearances of all Buddhas in the past, understanding the sequential appearances of all Buddhas in the future, understanding the proclamations of Dharma and the guiding and disciplining of beings within the assemblies in all Buddha lands, in all spaces and in all Dharma realms throughout the 10 directions in the present time, understanding worldly Dharmas and the Dharma of heroes, Prateka Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and Tathagatas. He understands that there are no distinctions among Dharmas, yet he speaks all Dharmas. Because he enters into the Dharma realms without truly entering, he complies with the state Dharma without attachment. These are the 10. If every Bodhisattva Mahasattva were to abide peacefully in these dharmas, he would enter into the most profound nature of the great wisdom of Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi.
Disciples of the Buddhas are Bodhisattva Mahasattva, has 10 kinds of practices upon which he relies as the basis for cultivating the Bodhisattva conduct. What are the 10? They are as follows. He relies upon making offering to all Buddhas as a basis for cultivating the Bodhisattva conduct. He relies upon not guiding and disciplining beings as a basis for cultivating the Bodhisattva conduct. He relies upon drawing close to good spiritual advisors as a basis of cultivating the Bodhisattva conduct. He relies upon accumulating roots of goodness as a basis for cultivating the Bodhisattva conduct. He relies upon purifying Buddha lands as a basis for cultivating the Bodhisattva conduct. He relies upon not abandoning beings as a basis for cultivating the Bodhisattva conduct. He relies upon profoundly grasping the paramitas as a basis for cultivating the Bodhisattva conduct. He relies upon perfecting the Bodhisattva vows as a basis for cultivating the Bodhisattva conduct. He relies upon infinite Bodhi resolves as a basis for cultivating the Bodhisattva conduct. He relies upon the Bodhi of all Buddhas as a basis for cultivating the Bodhisattva conduct. These are the 10. Every Bodhisattva realizes from these as a basis for cultivating the Bodhisattva conduct.
Disciples of the Buddhas, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva has 10 ways of making fearless resolves. What are the 10? They are making a fearless resolve to wipe out obstructive karma, making fearless resolve to protect and preserve the proper dharma after the Buddha's nirvana, making a fearless resolve to vanquish all demons, making a fearless resolve to not begrudge this body and life, making a fearless resolve to destroy heterodox theories, making a fearless resolve to make all beings happy, making a fearless resolve to make all assemblies happy, making a fearless resolve to guide and discipline all devas, nagas, yaksha, gandharvas, asuras, garudas, kinnaras, and maharagas, making a fearless resolve to leave the grounds up to 2 vehicles and to enter into the profound Dharma, making a fearless resolve to cultivate the bodhisattva conduct throughout ineffable kalpas without becoming weary. These are the 10. If every bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these dhammas, he would attain the Tathagata's great wisdom and fearlessness that are unsurpassed.
Namo Samanta Madana Napalati Hata Jajanani Anchimi Jimi Tanta Kata Namo Vasante Polati Udan Modan Modanta Kata Namo Vahom Pansawa Namo Samanta Madana Napalati Hata Jajanani Achimi Jimi Tanda Kadana Mawa Sante Palade Wudan Modan Modanda Kadana Mawa Humpansawa Namo Samanta Modana Napalade Hata Jajan Achimi Jimi Tanda Kadana Mawa Sante Palade Wudan Modan Modanda Kadana Mawa Humpan In the halls of universal light, the assembly fully cultivated gathers on a third occasion from the vast of universal worthy. 2,000 answers cascade forth as his ship of kindness sails across the sea of suffering. A single phrase completely captures every meaning of the Dharma. Namo, ocean-wide flower dormant assembly of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Namo, ocean-wide flower dormant assembly of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Namo, ocean-wide flower dormant assembly of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Special dedication. We hereby dedicate the merit and virtue of this practice. May all nations be peaceful, may all people be safe, and may the weather be seasonal with an appropriate amount of rain. May the merit from this practice adorn all the Buddha's lands, repay the kindness from above, and rescue those in paths below. May all who see or hear of this resolve upon awakening, and when this body misses and be born together in the land of bliss. 3 bows. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. Nam